All right. Hello, everyone, and let's get started. We are going to go over how to prioritize your time in the gym in this masterclass. This is actually part one of a two-part series. So if you're just viewing this from YouTube alone, make sure you go to the link in the description below or to fullstorywellness.com, or just go to the link in my bio on my Instagram to get access to part two, which is an email series on how to maximize any program regardless of kind of what style it is after you've kind of learned how to prioritize your time in the gym. So make sure, again, go to the links below to sign up for that to receive the second part of this series. But for today, how to prioritize your time in the gym, this is going to hopefully help make that complexity of, do I do strength? Do I do mobility? Should I build some muscle? What about cardio? All of that stuff's important. What about for the next coming months? All of these kind of things that can seem overwhelming in training, especially if you're just like scrolling through Instagram or something like that, or looking through YouTube and seeing everyone do all of these crazy different things, and it just makes it even more confusing on what you should be doing or what you want to do, because obviously you have to enjoy your time. That's probably number one on how to prioritize your time in the gym, is making sure you're doing something you enjoy. Now, if you signed up through the links, you will have access to a PDF that will hopefully pop up right there. And as you can see, it's a pyramid, an upside down pyramid, and we're going to use this to kind of go through how I think about prioritizing a program, not only for myself and clients, and hopefully that'll make things a little bit more simple for you, and that gives you a vision on what we want to do. So again, I always like to start with the long term and then go to the short term. Whereas most people are kind of like searching for that next 4-week program or something like that. And that's not wrong or anything. Like I said, we're going to get there. But if you don't know where you're going, anything's going to kind of work or might not work at all. So it could even be something like at the top, it says overall vision. This could be, when I'm 90, I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to sit and stand up without anyone's help. Something like that. Or as we're going to go over later, if you want to like prep for a competition, or you want to get as strong as you can in 3 months, we'll go over that. But visualizing the long term is going to make it easier what to do in the short term, especially if your goal can be super vague, like I want to be healthy, I want to be more fit, those sort of things. Knowing kind of what that looks like will easily make the road there way easier to understand versus just trying to blindly walk it. So overall vision, this is like activities, abilities. It could easily just be stated as the things you want to do later in life. Whether that's a year from now, 5 years, 50, doesn't matter. Think of those activities, and then if you look, you have on the second page of the PDF, you have a blank one, and you can write in notes right there and reuse this and make all of your programs based on this sort of thing. So if we go down to the metrics needed, so this is where it's gonna be a little bit more, you don't have much of a say in things. And I don't mean like that you have to do a certain style of training, but let's say your overall vision, I'm looking down on the notes right here. Let's say your overall vision is to be able to walk when you're 90. That's an awesome goal. That has certain prerequisites or requirements that are needed. You're going to need coordination and strength. You're going to need the stability in your hips, making sure that your gait or the way you walk isn't super painful, and putting different stresses on parts of your body that aren't meant to handle that stress. So there's a lot of things that go into even just walking for decades to come, which is great because that means that there's lots to do in our training now. So this is going to be the metrics that are needed to achieve that overall vision or that longer term vision that you want. So that's going to be things like you're going to need to maintain your heart health, so your heart rate. Certain things and activities require more strength. All of us should probably work on maintaining a certain level of muscle mass as we age, because that slowly starts to decrease if we don't keep up on it. Mobility is a big one. We all have seen and know elderly people, or even not elderly people our own age, that aren't able to move very well. You can see their posture and they're very hunched over, and they can't get out of that because they're not doing the things to open that up or to meet the needs that their goals require. So this is where you're gonna like jot down different things, and this is where it's gonna start to individualize a program, because you specifically are going to have different metrics that are going to need to be improved upon. So this is where the fun of an individualized program starts to come into play. So we'll get into examples here in a little bit. We'll go through the whole thing first just so you can get a grander idea of it all. So this is where you're going to figure out what metrics you specifically need to improve upon to get to that overall vision, even if it's way down the line. So then going down to the last part of the pyramid, which is the base, which is the short-term program. So this is your 4 to 12 week program, and it's on the side, it says up to you and matched with your goals, because this is, you get to kind of decide. There's multiple ways you can build strength. You don't have to just do squat, bench, deadlift with a barbell to get stronger. You could do, if you love hiking and that's like how you want to exercise, you could start rucking, for example, which is doing weighted carries while you hike. So there's ways to build strength or any metric that you may want to improve upon through means that you enjoy. And that doesn't mean you're going to love it all the time, but you're not going to like find something that you absolutely hate. If you don't like doing CrossFit, you don't need to do CrossFit, for example. So the short term is what you're doing to work upon the metrics that are needed for your overall vision or goal and what you want to achieve, whether in your fitness or anything like that. So underneath the pyramid here, if you're looking along with me, it's short term equals that 4 to 12 week program, which is used to improve upon the metrics you need to achieve the goals or visions that you need, which that's awesome. But how does that help when we walk into the gym and we see all of the machines, or we see everything that we can do and the possibilities seem endless? So we're going to go over 2 examples now. One is going to be like a long-term kind of goal, and one is going to be someone that wants to improve their like lifts in 3 months, like just wants to build strength. And you can kind of see how you can use the same outline for a long-term and a short-term program, and how it's going to start that individualization process, because all programs will work if you can stay consistent with it, and if they work on the things that you need to work upon while working on your strengths as well, because you need to continually work on that. So let's start with what most people are probably doing with their programming and their goals and such. So let's say someone wants to improve their squat, bench, and deadlift in like 3 months. And you can see that on the PDF next to me here. So that's an awesome goal. That's 3 months, so about 12 weeks of programming if they do deload. And there's going to be a lot that goes into this, like their training age, their technique, and everything like that. But let's just say this is someone that has a general understanding of these lifts and just needs to do them more to improve. So the universal met with their needs, the metrics needed. Let's say that the demands of the squat, bench, and deadlift are kind of met. So they know the technique, they know how to load properly, how to brace, and things like that. So they're not putting themselves in any danger. So that makes that metric met. So they just need to work on it. So this is where the fun of an individualized program comes in, because then you get to decipher based on like videos or what your coach tells you or things like that, or what you feel within the lift is the limiting factor of that lift. So for example, in the squat, let's say you get all the way down and you can get out of the hole, but halfway up, that's where you fail a rep. So things like a pause squat or squatting to pins or like safety bars and then squatting from there, like rest squats. That is a way to improve upon that limiting factor of that lift. So that would be a variation that you could focus on in that short-term program. So for another example, let's say for the bench, it's that lockout. It's that last little bit you get to hear, and then it just shakes, and then the spotter has to take the bar for you. What you could do is do like towel or block benches. So you would decrease the range of motion so you could handle heavier loads safely and get used to locking out more weight. So this is where you would start to make a program more geared to you based around those limiting factors or the metrics that you need. So that person that wants to get stronger in 3 months, moving into their short-term program, which is 12 weeks because we decided it was 3 months, this is just how you are going to plan to work on those things. And this is where it gets into how many days are they lifting a week? How many days can they recover from a week? What is their schedule like outside of the gym? Are they a super busy person that only has like 2 hours to train a week? Then that's going to drastically change a program versus if they kind of can create their own schedule and train 5 days a week for 2 hours a day. So that's where more of that individualization comes in, but that's mainly fitting it into your schedule because you already know what you need to work on, which kind of makes it easier because then it's just kind of like plugging things in versus trying to decipher if you even need to do that in the first place. So you can kind of see, hopefully, I know I'm speaking super fast, but very passionate about this stuff, that you can even take the longer term focus of 3 months and very specifically plan out based on what you need. That's going to be the easier way to kind of use this sort of approach. Let's go over someone that has that longer term goal. So let's say they are currently training like 3 or 4 days a week. They don't have any like big health conditions. They're not morbidly obese, or they don't have any underlying conditions that they need like a medical professional to help with. So they are going to choose what they kind of want to do, how they want to train, and that has to be consistent, because if you have that longer term goal, the number one thing that's going to help you is just doing the work. So consistency. So the overall vision there, you have that written down. You want to be able to play with your grandkids when you're 90. You want to be able to lap 30-year-olds if you're playing a rec sport or something like that. So then the metrics needed, this is where it kind of gets a little bit harder because you could do a cardio phase, you could do just a strength phase, you could do just a mobility phase, you could do all of it at once if you really wanted to, and kind of phase out the intensities of it. But what I kind of recommend people to do is look at their seasons of life. Like there's different times. So for instance, in Michigan here, when it gets super cold in the winter and in the garage gym, the last thing I want to do is like go in there and grab that cold pull-up bar and do a bunch of pull-ups or calisthenics or something like that. I'd rather bring the barbell from inside, that staying warm, outside, do some quick like powerlifting, come inside and be in and out sort of thing. So I match my training around kind of like what the rest of my life is going to look like. And then that fills in with like the holidays where some people are more inconsistent or fall off, or their diet isn't as dialed in. So that like plans for that sort of thing, and that you're utilizing more of what life is going to throw at you. So getting to decide which one of those things. So you could decide to do everything at once, like I said, and change the intensities, or pick 4, 8, 12 weeks at a time to focus just on one attribute or skill or metric that you are going to just focus on and improve. And that makes it a little bit easier because instead of having like a big light shining on everything, you're laser beamed on one specific thing. And once that improves, you know everything else is improving as well. And then you just get to change what you're working on. And I recommend that for a lot of people, especially if they get like bored doing the same thing, like going in and just doing bodybuilding, for instance, or doing machines for years and years and years. It would get pretty boring after a while. And I love that stuff, and it still gets boring. So changing what you focus on or changing what you do is not only going to make you more well-rounded, but increase the likelihood of that consistency and that you're checking back in with these things to make sure that you're improving toward that overall vision. So then moving into like the short term, you would get to decide, let's say that person wants to do a little bit of everything, because that's cool, right? But it's hard to program at the same time. So let's say their need is their cardio. They don't have very good cardiovascular endurance. So you could maintain building strength and things like that by doing a circuit sort of thing. So like their heart rate's a little bit higher. They're not like resting 3 to 5 minutes in between each exercise. They're getting more done in a shorter period of time. So they're not only increasing their cardiovascular endurance, but they're also working on their strength, their muscles, all of that stuff. So that's where you get a little bit more freedom in how you kind of design your programs in the short term if your long-term goal is only just to be a healthy, fit individual later in life. But this is going to be a really key thing, even if you're doing like group classes and you don't have control of the programming you're doing, just kind of getting an idea of the flow of using a broader view of your fitness versus we get so hyper focused on not only today but this week, and then what are we doing next? What's after this 4-week program? How can I get this in the shortest amount of time possible? And that is a good thing to focus on, but I think more of the longer term, even if you have shorter term goals, seeing how that fits in is not only going to help you achieve those goals more sustainably, but it will help you better suit your plan to you, because that's ultimately, anything works. It's the consistency and if it is formed around you and your individual needs. So hopefully you have a lot to think about with how you want to either plan or prioritize your time in the gym based on this, or if you've only ever had like a short-term focus with your fitness, that you're starting to see a longer-term vision of it all and being excited about that, because you have so much that you can do and get to do, and it's not this thing is the right way or this thing is the right way. You get to create how you display and embody fitness in your life, which is awesome, and that's amazing. So remember, if you did not sign up for this masterclass through any of the links in the bio or my website or my Instagram, go down below and do that now so you can get part 2 of this masterclass, which is going to be an email series on, now that we have learned kind of like what we're doing in the gym, how can we maximize the program that we're on, again, no matter what style we're doing, because all programs have similarities and things in common that are needed for them to succeed. How can we maximize any program we are on, no matter how much time we're putting into it? If you are still watching this, I greatly appreciate your attention. I don't take that lightly. Thank you so much for this. If you would like to see more information like this, comment below or reach out to me on Instagram or in an email. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy training.